Daf Yomi, Tractate Zevachim, page 115, starting from the bottom of 114b for context. Maskif la Rav Huna asks, Rav Huna objects to Rabbi Hilkiah's statement, Chi yesh l'cha davar she'ein kasher lishmo v'kasher shelo lishmo. Rav Huna asks, Rav Huna objects to Rabbi Hilkiah's statement that a guilt offering whose time has not yet arrived is fit to be sacrificed inside if it is slaughtered not for its own sake. And is there anything that is not fit for its action is performed? And is there anything that is not fit if its action is performed for its own sake, but is fit if its action is performed not for its own sake? The Gemara replies, and is there not? But there is. Now, there is the Paschal offering. We're on 115a, top of the page. V'lo v'harei Pesach b'shani Rosh Hashanah. De'ein mekash l'shmo v'chosh l'shmo Pesach b'shani Rosh Hashanah l'shmo v'ninu. There's the Paschal offering. Let's not forget the Paschal offering. During the rest of the days of the year, meaning not on the 14th of Nisan after midday, when it is fit to be sacrificed, which is not fit if it was sacrificed for its sake, but it is fit if it was sacrificed not for its own sake. The Gemara responds, the Paschal offering during the rest of the days of the year is considered to be a peace offering, not a Paschal offering that was slaughtered not for its own sake. Lema Mesei Elei Yachol Shani Moisei Avanas B'Moses Man B'Balim Yashem Nazu Yashem Soyo. Okay. Soil. What are we holding? The Gemara suggests, let us say, that the following Braita supports the opinion of Rabbi Hilkiah, who holds that one who slaughters a guilt offering whose time has not yet arrived outside the courtyard, not for its own sake, is liable. One might have thought that I exclude from the category of those who are liable for slaughtering outside the courtyard even one who slaughters a burnt offering whose time has not yet arrived due to its being premature for its owner. For example, a woman after childbirth whose term of impurity is not yet finished, and one who slaughters a guilt offering of an Nazarite and the guilt offering of a leper before they are fit to sacrifice their offerings. Talmud Lama Shol Mikol Makom Kesed Mikol Makom Es Mikol Makom Veilu Chadash Shayo. To counter this, the verse states with regard to slaughter outside the courtyard, whatever person there be of the house of Israel that slaughters an ox or a lamb or a goat in the camp, or that slaughters it outside the camp, Leviticus 17:3. Ox indicates in any case of an ox. Lamb indicates any case of a lamb, and goat indicates any case of a goat. That one is liable for slaughtering them outside the courtyard, while a sin offering was omitted from the cases in the Braita where one who slaughters the offering outside the courtyard is liable. B'mayaskina nilim bizmanu ma'iriya sham afilu chazdami ela shelo izmanu. The Gemara clarifies, what are we dealing with in this Braita when it discusses the guilt offering of an Nazarite and the guilt offering of a leper? If we say that it is dealing with a guilt offering that was slaughtered outside the courtyard at its proper time, why state that one is liable specifically for a guilt offering? One would be liable for slaughtering a sin offering outside the courtyard at its time as well. Rather, it is discussing a guilt offering that was slaughtered not at its time. meaning when the Nazarite or leper's time had not yet arrived. The Gemara explains, and what is the Braita dealing with? And what is the Braita dealing with? If we say that it's dealing with one who slaughtered for its sake, why would he be liable for a guilt offering that was slaughtered outside the courtyard if it is not fit for sacrifice? Rather, is the Braita not dealing with one who slaughtered it not for its own sake? And the Braita states that one would be liable according to the opinion of the Rabbi Chilkiah. The Gemara rejects this. Actually, the Braita is dealing with one who slaughtered a guilt offering outside the courtyard at its proper time, and not for its sake. The Rabbi Eliezer and although there is ostensibly no need for an additional verse from which to derive the halacha in this case, as a guilt offering that was slaughtered not for its sake inside the courtyard is fit for sacrifice, the Braita is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, who says we juxtapose the guilt offering with a sin offering in the verse. As is the sin offering, so is the guilt offering, but is one law for them. Leviticus 7:7, from which it may be derived that there had been equivalent along its status, therefore a guilt offering that was slaughtered not for its sake is disqualified, and consequently one might say that one who slaughters a guilt offering not for its sake outside the courtyard is exempt, as it is not fit for sacrifice. Therefore, the derivation from the verse is necessary. Tanata in the time of the Braita taught guilt offering, which is in this context, this is secondary to the sin offering, as it is derived from the latter. But the same is true of the primary, meaning the sin offering. One who slaughters it outside the courtyard, not for its sake, is liable. Toshima. The Gemara suggests coming to hear a Braita in support of Rabbi Chilkiah. One might have thought that I include in liability even one who slaughters a burnt offering whose time has not yet arrived because it is intrinsically lacking, meaning 8 days have not yet passed, and one who slaughters a sin offering whose time has not yet arrived, whether because it is intrinsically lacking or because it is mature for the owner. To counter this, the verse states that the guards one who slaughters outside the courtyard and has not brought it to the entrance of the tent of meeting. Leviticus 17:4, which teaches that for any sacrifice that is unfit to be brought to the entrance of the tent of meeting, one is not liable for slaughtering it outside the courtyard, but the guilt offering whose time has not yet arrived was omitted by the Tana, from which it can be inferred that one who slaughters a guilt offering outside the courtyard is liable. But my askinan, the Gemara asks, what are we dealing with? If we say the Braita is dealing with a case where one slaughters an offering whose time has not yet arrived outside the courtyard for its sake, then one who slaughters a guilt offering a guilt offering should also be exempt, as it is an offering whose time has not yet arrived. Rather, is it not dealing with the case of one who slaughtered a sin offering whose time has not yet arrived outside the courtyard, not for its own sake? In this case, one would be exempt for slaughtering it outside the courtyard, as if it is slaughtered inside the courtyard, not for its own sake, it is disqualified. But in the case of a guilt offering whose time has not yet arrived, one would be liable since it is fit for sacrifice. In accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Chilkiah, the oilam shelo lishmo The Gemara responds, actually, the bride is dealing with one who slaughtered a sin offering, whose time is not yet arrived, outside the courtyard, not for its own sake. And nevertheless, it may not be inferred that in the case of a guilt offering, one would be liable, as this bride may be in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, who juxtaposed the guilt offering with the sin offering, and one who slaughters a guilt offering is also exempt. The Tani, the bride, omitted mention of a guilt offering because he taught sin offering, which is the primary case of the disqualification of an offering slaughtered not for its own sake, and all the more so it applies to the secondary case, meaning the guilt offering. Toshima. The Gemara suggests here another proof for the opinion of Yehoshua. Techiyah Zevachim Yomar. Levi. Interesting. I've seen Levi. This is Rabbi Levi. Not Rabbi Levi, but Rabbi Levi. Rabbi Levi. Hey, no, my name is Rabbi Levi. I haven't seen him before. Who is Rabbi Levi? Why? Why was he named Rabbi Levi? His name is Rabbi Levi. Why? Lie. Tan Rabbi Levi. Yachol Shani Moitze Avodas. Mechusar Zman Bibali. Hashem Nazir, Hashem Sayer Benayim. Nazir Lahu Talmud Le'Reyube. The Gemara suggests coming here another proof in the opinion of Rabbi Hilkiah, as when Rabbi Dimi came to Babylonia from Eretz Yisrael, he said that the school of Rabbi Levi taught in a Braita. One might have thought that I exclude from the category of those who are liable for slaughtering offerings outside the temple courtyard, even one who slaughters a burnt offering, whose time has not yet arrived, due to its being premature for his owner, or one who slaughters a guilt offering of an Nazirite, or the guilt offering of a leper, whose time has not yet arrived due to its being premature for its owner. From where is it derived that one is liable for doing so? Rav Dimi added, and the sages brought a derivation from the verse to prove that one is liable, but I do not know what the derivation is. My Talmud of Ravina Shor, Mikol Makom Kesef, Mikol Makom Eis, Mikol Makom Hamayu Kedam Arat. The Gemara clarifies what is the biblical derivation. Ravina says that it is derived from the verse said above with regard to offerings that are slaughtered outside the courtyard, where ox indicates in the case of an ox, lamb indicates in any case of a lamb, and a goat indicates in any case of a goat, indicates in the case of a goat. This supports the opinion of Hilkiah as the bride is discussing guilt offering whose time has not yet arrived. A guilt offering whose time has not yet arrived, that is slaughtered not for its own sake, and contradicts the opinion of Rav Huna. The Gemara asks, what contradiction is this? It can be resolved, as you stated earlier, that the Braita is dealing with a guilt offering that was slaughtered not for its own sake at the proper time, and is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Amar Rabbi Nachman, Mishum Rabbi Atani Levi, Hashim Nazir, Yashim Sash, Shachlan Shlosh Man Vishain, Lo Alu Lebalim Shum Chova. Rabbi Nachman said that, according to the opinion of Rabbi Dimi, the Braita cannot be interpreted as dealing with a guilt offering that was slaughtered at its proper time, because he raises a contradiction between the Braita that the school of Rabbi Levi taught and the Braita that Levi taught. Interesting. Rabbi Levi and Levi. The guilt offering of a Nazirite and the guilt offering of a leper that one slaughtered not for their own sakes are fit, but they do not satisfy the obligation of the owner. If one slaughtered them in a case where the offering was premature due to its owner, or if the lambs were in their second year, when one slaughters them and not in their first year as required, they are disqualified, and when one slaughters them outside the temple courtyard is not liable. This contradicts the Brayta taught by the school of Rabbi Levi. Okay. Umishani Rav Dimi no kashya kan lishmo kan shelo lishmo. Rav Dimi answers it is not difficult here in the Brayta that states that one who slaughters outside the temple, outside the courtyard is exempt, is referring to a case where the animal's time has not yet arrived, is slaughtered for its sake. There, in the Brayta that teaches that one who slaughters outside the courtyard is liable, it is referring to a case where the offering was slaughtered not for its sake. Ravashi Rami Masnisina Brayta Umishadikar Lishmo B'chan Shelo Lishmo. Likewise, Ravashi raises a contradiction between the Mishnah, which teaches that one who slaughters a guilt offering whose time has not yet arrived outside the courtyard is exempt, and the Brayta, which teaches that one who does so is liable. And Ravashi answers, here the Mishnah that teaches that one is exempt is referring to a case where the offering was slaughtered for its own sake, and there the Brayta that teaches that one is liable is referring to a case where the offering was slaughtered not for its own sake, and according to the opinion of Rabbi Hilkiah. The Gemara says, if so, shall we say that this is a conclusive refutation of the opinion of Rav Huna, who also holds that one who slaughters a guilt offering whose time has not yet arrived for its sake outside the courtyard is exempt? The Gemara replies that Rav Huna could have said to you, what are we dealing with here? And the Brayta deems one liable for a guilt offering that was slaughtered not for its own sake. We are dealing with a case where one separated two guilt offerings as a guarantee so that the atonement would be achieved through the sacrifice of the second if the first was lost. But before the proper time arrived, he slaughtered one of them as a burnt offering rather than as a guilt offering. In this case, there would be a liability for the slaughtering outside the courtyard, as is the case with one who slaughters a burnt offering outside the courtyard, since one of them, meaning the one who will not affect atonement, is a burnt offering from the outset, is burned from the outset. Okay, we'll stop here, exactly at the end of the dot. Okay.